you're told that boys do this. Boys play football, boys play basketball, boys play baseball, boys date girls, whatever the case may be, you know what I mean, out of practice.
Yeah, you get sued with $200, you okay. Yeah. You get sued with bread, then
you know what,
gotta figure
ultimately,
it out.
But once again, you know, as hard as it was, and as hard as it always is to take that high road, we took that. Because ultimately, no matter what was going on in the midst of anger or hurt, the kids come first. And so our whole job this whole time has always been to not allow the kids, one day they're gonna be able to read what the hell is going on, and that's unfortunate. But we're never putting shade on their mother, right? We're not doing any of that, right? We're the adults. We're the imperfect ones that have made these decisions. Only thing we're gonna do is lift them up, and we're gonna lift their mother up, and we're gonna lift everyone up. And that's what we all did. We all made sure that at all times that no matter the situation, how ugly my divorce was, all we did is pump positive juice into the relationship that their mother would have with Zaya and Zaya. And that's all that mattered to me and my wife. And it was hard. My wife wanted to sue back. My wife wanted to go because it's taking at her profession and what she do and what she's built. You know what I mean? The things that were said, but ultimately it's about these kids. And if you lead with love and if you love unconditionally, then none of that is going to matter at the end.
I won't give anything on here, but there's some questions, you know, some things that I came across that I wanted to kind of know myself. But you wrote Zaire a letter before he went off to boarding school. You said, my goal as a parent is to raise kids who know their worth and that are better than I could ever be. I want to ask you, what does that mean to you?
So you guys, if you guys have young kids, right, boys or girls, you understand most of the time they want to be like you. They want to live up to the expectations of who you are and what the world has put on them. And so Zaire is my firstborn. I had Zaire, he was born when I was 20 years old, in college. Didn't know what the hell I was going to do in life at that time.
Been there.
20 years old, I'm like, my life's over, right? But one thing about Zaire is Zaire being my firstborn and me, you know, being good at the game of basketball and him following that footsteps to play the game of basketball. It's this unfair things that's put on Zaire. And the one thing I like to always let Zaire know is, listen, your name is not Dewayne Wade. Your name is Zaire Wade. You will blaze your own path. You will have your own journey. You know what I mean? And I don't look at you and say, he needs to be like me. You're going to be you. It's my job to find out the greatness in you and be able to show you a little bit, hey, this is where you're great at. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about where people say your dad is or what your dad does. Your dad is old and retired.
Right.
He's moved on. This is your show, son. Right. You know what I'm saying? So my job is always to show my kids, like, their greatness. Because I feel like we all have a purpose in this life, right? We're all on this earth for a certain reason. That we have a purpose. We all have greatness inside of us. It's my job to get them to their greatness. And so through basketball, we're going to get there. Whether it's basketball or not, we're going to get there through the lessons that basketball teaches us together, right?
That's real.
And so that's my job as a parent. My job is to say, listen, you ain't scoring 20. One thing about Zaire is I realized very early Zaire don't play like me. He has similarities to the way I play, but his game is different. I scored, and I like to score. Now, I wasn't the best scorer in the game, but I like to score. And
pretty dang close, Coach. You was pretty dang close.
I was good, but if you look at the records, and I'm not in the top 10, but anyway.
You brought a lot to the table. You too.
He pissed me off. Like, he just pissed me off.
For the people out there that's going to go to the numbers.
Nah, you too humble, bro.
Dewayne, that's the numbers, bro.
No, I'm just saying, it's some numbers of people. I'm just speaking to
Ain't no numbers. Ain't no numbers. We talking about
the people out there. The people out there that's looking at this camera, it's the numbers.
All of that. I'll say it for you.
But
fuck all of that. He was a dog.
He was a dog, man.
What I had to do as a parent is I had to, and it took me, and this wasn't, I didn't say it didn't come in one day. I had to understand that Zaire was not me. And it took me, and guys, everything in life that I do, I realize that it's not me who's doing it. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. You got to go to that mirror and look in the mirror. And when you have kids and say, all right, if my kid is going to be boom, 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 how are you going to deal with it, sir? So when it came to Zaire playing basketball, I had to realize, Zaire, you're not me. Your strengths and your talents is this. Let me tap into that with you, okay? It's not about me. And when it came to Zaire, let me tap in, okay, Zaire, let me look in the mirror, because I'm going to tell y'all something, and people don't want to hear this and don't believe this. At 3 years old, me and my wife looked at each other and we said, what if? What if Zion come home, at the time, the name was Zion. If Zion comes home one day and say, Dad, I'm gay, or Dad, I'm this, I'm that, what are you going to do, sir?
That's real.
And so what I did at 3, when Zion was 3, is I prepared myself and I looked in the mirror and I said, yeah, what are you going to do? Because you in a locker room where all the guys use is nothing but you gay, you this, you that, you home,
facts.
whatever. So I'm in that locker room every day. What are you going to do, sir, when if your child comes home and say, Dad, sorry, I don't want no parts of basketball. I don't want no parts of your life. This is my life and this is how I am. How are you going to do it?
Bro, you thought about that at 3?
I thought about that at 3 years old.
When did Zaya have that conversation with
8
you?
years old, 5 years later.
Okay, so here's my question, right? Because that was important. I just kind of explained to you how I feel about my kids, right? There's an obsession with my children that's probably unhealthy, right? And so as soon as I heard about Zaya, I started paying attention. I became Monday morning father, right? And I said, this is what I do. This is what I feel. This is what I would say. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you, bro. Everything that you did had nothing to do with the thoughts that I had. And you made me check myself, right? Because I claim I love my kids, right? I claim I support my kids. And I'm watching another man who I admire, right? Another man who's lived a life not only on the court but off the court that is to be emulated, do things differently than I would as a parent. And then, very recently, I looked at your child, right? I looked at Zaya, and I know the only thing that we want to do is to see our children smile, right? But what I also realized, I was like, so he's been loving, he's been supportive, he's become a champion beyond his child. And I said, and it's looked easy. I can't believe that it was easy. So can you kind of take us on the journey? Because we see the destination. Take us on the journey from finding out, from Zaya saying, Dad, this is who I am, to seeing D. Wade on talk shows, D. Wade being a champion for not only for his daughter, right, but for anybody who looks at Zaya and says, you know what, that's what I hope to have.
Growing up in the inner city of Chicago, in the hood, you're told that boys do this. Boys play football, boys play basketball, boys play baseball, boys date girls, whatever the case may be. You're told this is what you do, right? So I'm no different. I'm raised that way. I'm in the locker room. I say all the things that everyone is saying. I'm not sitting up here like I have never done or said anything, right, when it comes against the opposite sex, because I was ignorant. I didn't understand.
Right.
So when it hit my doorstep at 3 years old, like I said, when me and my wife looked at each other, right? And the reason we looked at each other is because of this, as kids, I used to put on heels. I used to do all those things. I try to put on whatever my sisters wear, whatever my sisters did, I try to do those things. So at first I said to myself, oh no, I did that. I ain't just doing the things that I did. And then it kept going further and further. And then me and my wife had to look at each other and say, well, what if? And at that moment, everything that I was taught went out the window, because now I'm a parent. And my sole job and my sole responsibility is to make sure that this kid grow up knowing that it's supported and is loved by his father and the other parent, right? That's my only job. And so when it came down to Zaya, at 3 years old, I looked at it and said, okay, D, I looked in the mirror. And now, not only did I look in the mirror, when I went in the locker room, I started changing the way I talked. I started changing how I listen to things, and I started challenging people in a different way. Once I started to ask questions to my white friends, because I've never been, at that time, no one is in the NBA or play basketball has never been openly gay.
Right.
I've never had a conversation with
even in
anybody
our
that
locker
knows
room.
openly in our locker room. So I was ignorant when it comes to this space. So when my child came home at 8 years old, we were living in Chicago at the time after I left Miami, which we talked about. My child came home, and the reason my child didn't come home, it was an assignment that was done at school. An assignment at school would say, tell me about yourself. And this was the time where Zaya took the time to say, I'm black, I'm this, and I'm gay. At the time, Zaya said, I am gay. So the teacher called home.
At 8 years old.
At 8 years old. The teacher called home and said, hey, I just want you guys to know we post these all over the school, but we didn't want to post this if you guys didn't blah, 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 right? So we sat down with the teacher and talked about the teacher at that time was a gay female.
Okay.
Gave Zion the confidence.
That's a blessing.
To be able to say those words. So when we sat down and I was in the room across the way, I prepared myself for 5 years for that moment, not knowing what I was going to do or say. When Zaya sat down with me and was across the way, just like me and you are right now, Ryan, I'm looking at my child. I don't care about anything else. I'm looking at my child, and I'm looking at my responsibilities. I'm looking at a child that's crying, that's afraid to tell their father.
Wow.
That they're different than what you probably thought I was, Dad. I don't want to play basketball. I'm not even I'm not a boy. I feel that I am X, Y, and Z, right? I'm looking at my child scared to tell me. And I feel like I am pretty open at this time. Right. I realized that I needed to do better and I needed to do more and I needed to educate myself. And so what I did is I picked up the phone, I researched as much as I can because I needed to understand. I sat down with my child and I asked questions because I didn't know. Because it's not our job and our responsibility to tell you who you are. You are going to be who you're going to be. It's my job to try to put you in the best positions to help you reach that goal of who you want to be. But it's not my job to tell you. You know what I mean? And right now, we experiencing that with Zaya, my 13-year-old, who last year we came out and we spoke to the world that, hey, my 13-year-old came home and said, Dad, this is who I am. I am a transgender child. And we didn't come out until she was 12 to the world. But the reason we came out to the world was because I got tired of trying to hide my child. Right. Taking photos with the rest of my family, not posting Zaya, because we posted one thing on her birthday and there was so many bad comments that we wanted to hide her from it. Right. But it came to a point where I said, am I hiding her from it or am I hiding myself from it? That's another huge thing to me, right? Like the first two things. 13-year-old came home and said, Dad, this is who I am. I am a transgender child. And we didn't come out until she was 12 to the world. But the reason we came out to the world was because I got tired of trying to hide my child. Right. Taking photos with the rest of my family, not posting Zaya, because we posted one thing on her birthday and there was so many bad comments that we wanted to hide her from it. Right. But it came to a point where I said, am I hiding her from it or am I hiding myself from it? That's another huge thing to me, right? Like the first two things, the first two feelings you get when you have children are love and protection. Right? Yep. And so like I remember hearing it and saying, how would I balance those two things? Right? Because, like we made jokes about me not worrying about being knocked out. But like the other thing is like I'm just a fighter. Like I've always been. You know what I'm saying? Like I got like two modes. Either we're getting along very well or like let's just throw hands and see who wins. That's called football, people. You know what I'm saying? And like not basketball. And like I'm gonna be honest, man. Like when I watch you as a father, and like I'll be honest, the only interaction we've ever had, man, is you posted something I posted on social media, and I ain't gonna lie, I told my kids I was famous. I was like, Dewayne reposted me on his story. I'm just letting y'all know.
He reposted you?
Man, I felt so good. I ain't gonna lie, dog. I'm not.
Damn, bro!
My guy be talking real like that. You know what I'm saying? My guy be talking about the game. He talks some real things, and I'll be like, what he said. Right.
But you know what I'm saying, though, D? So how do you balance, right? Because like you said, you know about the locker room, right? You know about the way people perceive certain things.
I see. Now balance. How do you move it forward?
Yeah, like, and so like doing like...
It's not even moving forward, bro. Like I got tears in my eyes right now, and I hate that I'm the one,
It's always the big dude that cries a lot, though. The big dude always cries a lot.
We talked about this machismo thing, and I got tears in my eyes because I'm thinking about, like, the reality is you're part of the 1%.
Yes.
Like, not a lot of dudes, bro. Like, think about that because we think about, throwing the ball with our boys and doing those things. And so, you, 1% of being able to unconditional love that you talked about, and a lot of people don't understand what that means. For the majority of us is we've seen people lose their lives. Yes. We've seen people take their own lives.
Talk to me.
Right?
Talk to
because
them.
of not feeling comfortable with coming to our parents and saying this is what's going on.
That's what I'm saying.
And then also, like, how many fathers have said, especially in our community, that, nah, that ain't my son.
100%. That's the thing. That's it.
So, but if we gonna be real, and you talk about no layups, if we gonna be really real in the locker room, how will we deal with that?
With Zaya, with you saying at 3 you saw it, at 8 you knew it, and then you're moving forward. People that dealt with it, people that are going through it, and people that in the future that have that 2-year-old son in a year from now. Like, what advice would you give to them Because this is real. This is going to happen. This is so many people's lives that they don't understand what you're talking to. Well, you give them advice. That's what we want on this show.
You just said it.
Advice.
You just said it. I'm over here living real motherfucking life. If everybody on the outside want to act like things is, we grew up in a certain era and things was a certain way.
Right.
Life evolves, people evolve. This is not, 2021 is not the first time that we've experienced gay people, we've experienced transgender, LGBTQ+. This is not the first time. Right. But we're in an era now where people are feeling a little bit more comfortable and confident to come out and express who they really are, right? Like we're in that generation now, right? So my thing is this, ultimately, when it comes to my child, and everyone says they are willing to do this, I'm willing to die for mine. And so if you want to say something against mine, if you want to hurt mine, come and talk to me first. Because my child has the right and the ability to be whoever they want to be in this life, and I'm going to make sure of it. I don't care who or what they decide to do. If this is my job. I am the leader of this family. As the leader of this family, I'm going to make sure who you are is shown and shouted out to the world, because I don't want my kids to not feel comfortable. And we're already black people in the world. That's enough. Right. Now we want to add, like, I got people out here, dog. I got people out here that will tell me that me and my wife are trying to get some kind of financial gain off of my child coming out saying that she's transgender. But I got over 100 in the bank. I don't need that. That's not about me.
You say you ain't got over 100.
Hold on. He's tied up. He's tied up. Quick.
Not about that. Not about money.
Look at it. Look.
100.
Different care. You heard what he said. You know what? They don't understand. They took 5%.
D, how you follow through?
Hey, Dewayne, this ain't my show. This like when you hit the one off the backboard and you was like, hey, I remember.
Don't give a fuck about the outside noise.
Because of you, though.
Yeah, Zaya don't care.
Because of you.
But you know what? You know what, B. Marshall? I was watching Pose. Thank you. I love the Pose crew. They have become family to me and my family. I was watching Pose with my daughter, right? The first season 1 of Pose. And it was a scene in there where the father came home and threw his son out of the house because he was looking at these magazines that was what he perceived, gay magazines that was inappropriate about men. He kicked them out on the streets. And at that moment, my child was like, I've never experienced that. I don't even know what that, like, this was foreign to her. And at that moment, I was like, thank you for allowing me to be her father. Because it's lesser people out there that can't get over themselves. It's not about the child. It's about you individually. So people can't get over themselves and their pride and their ego. You know what I'm saying? Get out the fucking way and let your child to be who they are. And that's what I try to do. I try to get out the way and say, you know what? This is who you are.
In that situation, what did you tell your daughter? Y'all were watching the show and she saw that.
I didn't have to say anything. She seen it. For the first time, she saw that she don't have to live life like that. That she has a family that loves her and support her. And it's like, once again, that our village loves her and support her. And when I tell y'all this, we didn't know a lot about transgender. We didn't know a lot about lesbian and gay and queer. We didn't know a lot about the issues that everyone say. But what we had to do was we had to go educate ourselves. So she's educated us on a life outside of the black community and just us.
So the education, because now, on top of being a NBA legend, on top of being a great father, that you now also have to stand in front of that movement as well, so that Zayas and the next generation of Zayas are treated in a way that they're not only a part of their community, but a part of I'm talking about even just black people. They're treated differently.
Those numbers are staggering.
It's unbelievable. It makes me sick.